Hey y'all, welcome back. Do I sound a little bit better? I got a fancy microphone just for y'all. I hope you had a marvelous week, and I don't know if I explained in detail or not, but I'm trying to gear this podcast to all ages. So if I say a wordy dirt or two, I apologize. I'll try and put my teacher filter on as much as I can, but sometimes an occasional swear word does pop out. These are unscripted and from the heart, so sometimes I get a little carried away in the moment. So I do apologize for some of the language maybe in the episodes. But yeah, let's jump in. All right, let's dive in. First, I cannot start this episode off this week without talking about that inaugural poem. Y'all, Amanda Gorman went in. That refrain, quote, "When the day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it," end quote. Those words will resonate with me for a little bit because here in South Alabama, myself and a bunch of other people that I know are being the light for the LGBT community because people don't want us here, y'all. They don't. And I feel like living my unapologetic self is just being the light and knowing that I'm an example of someone who's happy, successful, married, ambitious, driven, and gay, and you can too. So I'm excited. I guess we can start with the beginning. A very good place to start. So remember when I talked about always being at church, right? Well, we had just arrived back home from one of those Fifth Sunday night sing-ins. I had a friend message me after the first episode dropped and was like, "What the hell is a Fifth Sunday night sing-in?" Well, there were about 3 Baptist churches within a 20-mile radius of each other that liked each other, I guess you could say. So we all got together every 5th Sunday and rotated off. Each church hosted an evening of singing, fellowship, but more importantly, food. Y'all, there was always more food than I could ever imagine anybody needing at one of these functions. And I think the only reason we had these functions was so we could eat, honestly. They say Baptists find any excuse to have a covered dish luncheon. And I think we found it. Anyway, I digress, sorry. So we get home from that Fifth Sunday night singing and it's just my mom and I. My dad was on his way home from a conference in Huntsville, and I had decided that I was going to come out to my mother first. And this was the perfect time to do it because my dad wasn't home yet. It would have just been the 2 of us at home alone on a Sunday evening. We could chill, right? Wrong. So, and I don't understand it because my mom and I were best friends, y'all. We went shopping together for clothes for her, for clothes for me, for clothes for anybody. I would help her do the Christmas shopping. I would go with her. We would go to Atlanta to go see musicals at the Fox or Birmingham at the BJCC or at the Montgomery Shakespeare Festival, all those places we would go. And she even let me completely redo her wardrobe. Like, I'm talking, threw away all of her 80s 9-to-5 professional chic shoulder pad pantsuit business attire. She let me throw it all away and replace it with clothes of this century, let's just say. And I just honestly don't understand how she didn't know. I really don't. So she decided to go to bed earlier than I had anticipated. And I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm running out of time to do this, right? So she goes and gets in the bed, and I'm watching TV, trying to muster up the energy to go crawl in their bed and just blurt it out, right? So I could just go ahead and get it off my mind and go get in the bed and be asleep before my dad got home, right? Because, you didn't want your ass beat twice, so you'd go to sleep before one parent got home. Or maybe that was just me. So I crawl into my mom and dad's bed, and she always knows what's up with me. And she asked me, she goes, "What have you been thinking about all day long?" And I just blurted out, "How to tell you that I'm gay." And it was quiet for a second, or what seemed like a second, or a minute. I honestly had no concept of time after those words came out of my mouth. And she said, "No, you're not." And I was like, "Mom, really? You didn't know?" And she said, "Well, I had my suspicions, but I had hoped not." Oh, okay. Not what I wanted to hear, but we'll roll with it. Then she went in with the usual questions of like, "Well, how do you know?" And then went off with, "Oh, it's just a phase. You haven't met the right girl yet, And also asked in the same breath, "Do I need to go, or does she need to send me to conversion therapy?" And I was just too overwhelmed with emotions at that moment because it wasn't received like I kind of had thought it was going to be received. Because I kind of thought she already knew and it was going to be fine. Yeah, we were kind of religious, but I didn't think she would have cared if it was her son. I was wrong. And so with all those emotions, I just stormed off to my bedroom. I think I slammed her door, and I think I slammed my door. I'm surprised she didn't get up and come after me, honestly. So I crawl into bed and I try and go to sleep, but I can't. But I'm trying to be asleep before my dad comes home because I don't want to be awake when he gets home. Because I know she called him and told him. I just knew it. He comes in and he wakes me up and says, "I love you no matter what." And then leaves my room. And I wasn't expecting that from my dad, which is why I came out to my mom first. And then the next day I'm thinking it's going to be better. It's going to be great. When in actuality, my mom didn't speak to me for 3 months. She wouldn't even stay in the same room as me. I would leave my bedroom to go to the living room or dining room or kitchen or whatever. And if she was in that room, she would leave and go to her room. It was like she didn't want to be in the shared spaces with me. She was going to catch the gay, right? Because she literally told me one time that she thought I was getting better. Because she clearly thinks it's a disease. She had discovered that I had been watching gay documentaries on Netflix. Y'all, I was just trying to learn my history, okay? I just needed to know where my people came from. And she thought I was getting better until she saw that in the history, I guess. I came out with still a year left at home. In hindsight, I should have waited till I moved to Auburn to do that. Honestly, I was just happy that I did not get kicked out of my house and that my family continued to support me after I came out and through college. And even supported me through college knowing that I was dating boys, I guess. One boy. Looking back, like I said, I would have waited one more year. And also, I probably would have come out to my dad first. Like, I told my dad first that I had a tattoo. And he said, "Don't tell your mother." So I'm wondering if I would have said that I'm gay, he would have said, "Son, that's fine. Don't tell your mother." And then I'd have been like, well, shit, I want to tell my mom. Like, she's... And you live and you learn, and life's full of lessons, and we'll find out how it's going after the break. Hey y'all, Blue Dreams is also sponsored by Support Local Drag, a social media platform dedicated to empowering and supporting local drag artists The ones that didn't make it on that one TV show. So be sure to follow at Support Local Drag on every social media platform. And if you have a local entertainer that you would like to spotlight, please direct message Support Local Drag their information so we can highlight those entertainers. So, I guess we can talk about how it's going, which is it kind of got worse, actually. About 4 years ago, the glue of, honestly, the family passed away. My grandmother. Everything was done at Granny Grace's house. Thanksgivings, Christmases, everything. And the last Thanksgiving that she was alive, I brought Aaron, my husband, at the time boyfriend. And I remember telling Granny, this is my boyfriend, Aaron. And she looked at me and she said, well, hell, one of y'all had to be gay. And I almost peed myself laughing, honestly. It was one of the best moments of my life. The fact that my grandmother, the wife of a preacher, said, well, hell, somebody had to be gay. And she accepted Aaron right on into the family, as her own, as she does, because that's just the type of lady she is. But when she passed away, however, everything changed, really. My brother bought a new house. It's kind of big, pretty good square feet, so it could host a family-sized Thanksgiving, which is what they were just going to have but after my grandmother passed away in February of that year, because they just wanted to keep things small. And you have to know my family, particularly my mother. My mother walks around with her nose in the air thinking that her shit don't stink. Sorry for lack of a better term, but one day that'll catch up with her. But the only thing she really cares about are her grandchildren. My brother has 4 kids. I don't know why, but he does. But in discussion about Thanksgiving that year, it was always said, see y'all there. So I understood that, and Aaron understood that as Aaron was invited to Thanksgiving. So we show up to my brother's house for Thanksgiving, and 5 minutes, not even probably, into being there, my brother and my brother calls me out into the garage, and I walk out there, and it's my brother, my dad, and me. And my brother was like, now, I love you, but I don't support that gay shit, and I don't want it around my kids, so you're welcome to be here, but you have to take Aaron home and then come back. And I was like, no, this man just not just tell me that I have to take my husband home and come back to have Thanksgiving without him? What? Honestly, I was speechless, but I had no reason to be, because this coming from the same person that told me I was going to hell when I came out. So I didn't say anything, honestly. I walked inside, I opened the door that led from the garage to the living room, and I just motioned for Aaron to come on, like, we're leaving, let's go. My mother's confused, my sister-in-law's confused, the children are confused, like, what's happening? And so I'm walking to the car or whatever, and my brother and I just start arguing with each other in the front yard. And I remember yelling something about, y'all call me when y'all grow up. And my dad responded with, well, I am grown. And I turned around, honestly, ready to throw hands with both of them, because how the hell are you going to kick out your brother on Thanksgiving? Like, what? And so Aaron literally grabs me and puts me into the front seat of my car, and we just drove off because I was so angry. And honestly, I haven't spoken to them in detail or in length or for any reason really, other than I'm not dead, or I need money because I'm still poor, and I will take their money, thank you. But after that Christmas after, my Christmas presents were mailed to me in a box with a card and some money. And I didn't even get like an invite to Christmas. There were no plans about Christmas mentioned to me. The past 3 Thanksgivings and Christmases, no plans have been mentioned to me about this is what we're gonna do, see y'all there, bring Aaron, like nothing. So we don't talk to them. They mail me a birthday card, they mail me a Christmas card. It has money in it. Yes, I will take their money. I will take your guilt money all day long. So has it gotten better? Not really. Will it get better? I hope so. I mean, you always want to have hope that it's going to get better. But at some point, you have to start being realistic about things. And honestly, I thought with this pandemic that maybe that would bring her closer. But it's honest, something dramatic is going to happen. Like, she's going to have to get cancer, or my dad's going to have to get cancer. Or hell, I'm going to have to get cancer. Something is going to happen for them to just drop it and realize that this is not that big of a deal, right? Being gay is nothing. And if one day in the future she wants to play catch up with me and see what she missed out on it's been 4 years since we haven't really talked. It's been 10 years since I've come out, and she doesn't know I do drag. They probably know I do drag. I don't know. But it's not something we talk about, it's not something that I can freely and openly discuss, which would be nice, But it's Alabama, I guess. But that's no excuse. Your parents should love you unconditionally. But if one day she wants to play catch up, yeah, I'll be more than happy to do that after I hear an apology both to my husband and myself. For sure. But, I have hope that things will get better. You have to. So one day in the future, we'll sit down and play catch up, and apologies will be shared, and life will move on. But until then, we'll give you some advice on how you can come out if you want to. You don't have to. Hey y'all, I want you to go and stop by one of my favorite minimalistic queer apparel shops. It's called Queer and Company. You can find them at threadless.queerandco.com, or you can follow them on Instagram and any other social media at Queer and Co. Just spell out and, no ampersand or anything like that. And also, if you go and buy something, tell them we sent you. You can get 15% off your purchase if you use the code Blue Dreams. But remember, BLEU, not BLUE. Thanks, y'all. Okie dokie. So let's talk about a couple of questions about coming out. Now, remember, this advice comes free of charge from a homosexual with experience. I'm not a professional, so I highly encourage anybody that can to get a therapist. Mental health is just as important as physical health. So find you a good therapist that you can trust, somebody affirming, somebody in your corner. And it's okay to fire your therapist. You can go through a few of them before you find the one that you like. So keep that in mind. Now a couple questions to close out the episode today. When should I come out? Well, I would say you only need to come out when you feel safe. Now that may sound like a cliche, but if you are in a house or environment such as school or work or otherwise, and you don't feel safe coming out, then don't. Sounds shitty, but there are instances where parents kick their children out after they come out and they don't have anywhere to live. And so if you know you're safe in an accepting and loving and affirming environment, I say, let your pride flag fly, honey. But if there is, a chance that you could be harmed physically, because that's still a real fear here in the South, and even all over the nation, honestly, because if you look, trans women of color are just being murdered at an unproportionate rate still to this day. And so support the T in the LGBTQ community, y'all. Stand up for those of us who are being taken too soon. Sorry, I just got a little preachy there, but like I said, off the cuff. Bottom line, only you know when you can come out, okay? A partner should never force you to come out. They should never try and manipulate you and say, if you love me, you'll come out. No, that's not how relationships work. There are people who would be in relationships with closeted guys. It would be, I'm sure, a difficult thing to do. But if y'all wanted to do it, be safe and be smart, okay? But if you feel safe and you feel like you can come out, then do it. And it's always, maybe you can come out to a friend or a close teacher or something, and maybe it doesn't have to be your parents right away, okay? I remember coming out to friends first, and that made it a whole lot easier to honestly accept it myself, because there is some sort of self-acceptance to it. When you finally can admit that, yeah, dude, I'm gay. So when you can start to accept it and you have surrounded by friends who are accepting and affirming you, then eventually you can move into, coming out to your parents. What happens if I get kicked out? I would say, first, before you come out, if you feel that that is a real fear that you could be kicked out of your house, maybe don't come out. And I hate that advice, but safety. But if you are at a point where you need to come out, you cannot live in that closet, in that shadow anymore. Honey, I get that feeling. Trust me, I was there, okay? Have a game plan, honestly. Have a trusted friend that you can say, hey, I'm going to come out today. I'm going to come out tonight. If I get kicked out, can I come crash at your place tonight, and then we'll figure things out tomorrow? Because that's what's going to have to happen. If you get kicked out, you're going to have to find somewhere that you can go and crash, especially if you do it at night when everything is closed. Because Birmingham has great resources, Magic City Acceptance Center, all of those great resources. I'm sure Atlanta has great resources. But if you come out at 7 o'clock at night, those resources are closed for the day. So, make sure you have somewhere that you can sleep, somewhere you can stay. You do not want to be homeless right now during a pandemic, and especially during the winter, okay? So have a plan. But if you are kicked out, I'm sure there are local LGBTQ organizations, like in Auburn here, we have Pride on the Plains. We don't have many resources available to house homeless youth, but we can find those resources and pass that information along. I've actually just recently done that. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I forgot where I was. Next question. They always ask, how do you know that you were gay? And I always like to respond with, how do you know that you were straight? Because if you think about it, honestly, there was never a conscious decision made of, I like this person. It kind of just happened, right? You just felt that attraction. Maybe when you were younger, you didn't know what that attraction was, or you didn't understand that it was homosexuality or bisexuality or whatever it is that you may identify as, but you knew that you were different, right? So I always try and get people to understand, and we always try and have the conversation that, some people prefer blondes to brunettes, or some people like a guy with a beard and some people like a guy with a shaven face. We have those preferences and we don't know why. It's just what we like, right? So that's how it is, I guess. So I try and have that conversation. And then somebody said, what about conversion therapy? And I want to be 100% clear when I say that there is no reason at all for anybody to want to send you to conversion therapy or conversion camp or anything, okay? You can never pray the gay away. There's no medical treatment to get rid of the gay, honey, okay? Embrace it, love it. If your parents can embrace it, then hopefully y'all can have a conversation with a therapist and find some middle ground there. But just know that you are perfect. You are valid. You are accepted by me just as you are, okay? Even if your parents can't. Know that you are accepted and that at least one person on this planet is proud of you. There are literally scientific journals out there that prove that conversion therapy is awful, okay? Use this to your advantage. And those are all the questions that I had for this episode. Like I said, my email is always open for questions. So if you want to ask me anything, be sure to email me at colanableu@gmail.com. But remember, I'm no professional, okay? I'm just speaking from my own life experiences, trying to be the light in my community, okay? Until next time, I hope you have a great week. And I want to challenge you to do something for yourself this week. Be selfish, okay? Go by Sonic and get that Oreo Blast, all right? Go by Starbucks and get that, I don't drink coffee, but whatever it is, caramel frappuccino, milkshake coffee that y'all like. I swear it's like coffee and a milkshake together, but if you like it, I love it. Until next week, y'all. Bye.